Welcome back, creative community, to another great Talks on Acting episode. And today I got legendary acting coach Matthew Corozine on the show. And we're super proud to have him here with this chat because he's a very eclectic, a very multi-directional, multifaceted kind of creative artist, one that I truly embraces the craft. And that's what we're looking for on the Coach MC Studio, always looking for different creativity inputs, different pockets of crazy creativity and critical mass to explore. I'm super happy. He's a book author. He's an actor. He's the director of the MCS Acting Studio in New York, where he's based. He's one of the leading actors and acting coaches there, teaching an adapted form of the Meisner technique. We're going to talk about that. He's also based in Miami, traveling back and forth all over the globe. I couldn't be more excited to have him on the show. Welcome, Matthew. How are you today? Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's great. What an honor to be here. So thank you for having me.
No, absolutely. It's our honor. It's our honor to explore the craft, to explore the horizons of our beautiful art that we have, the power that we have within, and all the manifold possibilities that we have to kind of put this power into action, into traction, and to really kind of generate something for ourselves and also for the culture, for the community. From the first moment I saw your material, I knew I want to shoot this interview because you're exactly the new type of creative head and mind that this world is actually looking for, right? Because we have to adapt to different situations. World is changing constantly. There are so many new challenges, also technological wise. And I feel like with your smile and with the power that you kind of embrace and all the different challenges that you accept, and also the very powerful book that you wrote, you're exactly empowering the community in a way that we are also looking for and wish for. So I couldn't be more honored to have you here. Thank you so much, first of all. And just give us, like, right away, how did this whole crazy, wacky endeavor started in the first place?
Like me teaching. Well, you just gave me chills. Yes. What you just spoke just gave me chills.
No, honestly.
I mean,
thank you.
You really did. So, I mean, I started as an actor, and I started as doing the New York hustle back in the mid '90s after college, and I fell into the Meisner work taught by the late Robert X. Modica at the old Carnegie Hall studios. It was very old school. He chain smoked, and we stayed till 2 a.m. And, he'd throw shit at you. I mean, it was a real old school Meisner
East Coast type of working environment.
Yeah, it really was. And I think at that time I really needed that type of male figure in my life. And I also needed that kind of coach that was tough, but loved you, but also really taught me it was okay not to be okay. I mean, I grew up very split in myself, that a lot of the mask of how to be in this world and to be liked. And I was a very divided kid, had a lot of shame and a lot of anxiety and depression that I really covered up and pushed down. And I think doing that work in the 90s, integrated me. I thought I wanted to play other characters and hide from me. But what I really wanted to do was integrate into the parts of me that I divided in order to survive life. And to me, Modica in the Meisner work, the way he did it, which was very different than William Esper, and very different than the Neighborhood Playhouse, and very different than Meisner himself. It took me years to realize, okay, this is a generational thing that's been carried down. And then I had to make it my own as well. It really integrated me. And then I was like, man, I love playing the role of Matt. That's something I didn't ever get to do in my entire life for reasons that I made up and stories that happened to me. And I was like, you know what? Now that I fucking found this guy,
right,
I want to help other people and coach other people into having that defining moment, getting out of belief systems, getting out of old stories that they can connect to their vulnerability and bring that to imaginary circumstances. And really play the character of themselves. Of course, there's character work. Of course, there's stuff like that. But really, let's start with where you are at,
right?
Who you're being, and being truthful from there. And I just needed that so badly in my life. And I really got that there, and that transformed me. And then I was like, I want everyone to experience this.
Yes.
So I felt it was my job to be a coach and a director. That was more fulfilling to me than I want to do the Elephant Man or something. I didn't really want to do that anymore for my own self. I really wanted to create aha moments for other people and create breakthroughs. And I really was attracted to art and acting being a transformation. I kind of feel like I'm a little bit of a Trojan horse. People come to me for acting class, and then they're like, wait a minute, this kind of is an acting class. It's kind of not an acting class. and I like that. I think that's about theater and film. Like we think we're going to go be entertained, and then we're kind of tricked into hopefully changing and developing and growing or rethinking,
absolutely.
or retraining our own belief system of all our shit. Right. So I think great stuff does do that. It kind of tricks us into it. So I love doing that.
Absolutely. It's also one of the reasons we're speaking here today, because right from the start, when I saw you also coaching, I was watching your YouTube videos, and also by reading into your persona, I kind of immediately caught up on that. Kind of, it was resonating in me that you are always emphasizing on the fact that you need to give up the old shit, that you need to embrace something new, that you need to kind of lean into the difficulties. And does that surely comes from the East Coast mindset, work hard, right? Hustle hard, right? Push forward no matter what. But there must be something inside of you. I mean, you were born in a place that was suitable also for your character to evolve in the way that you did. But where did this wish initially comes from? Because a lot of actors and sometimes people who are, playing with the thought of getting into entertainment industry, when we're approaching, like we have this free kind of talk with each other to get to know each other, they always tell me like, I feel the urge of telling stories. I feel the necessity of channeling something. I feel, that there is something more inside of me. Where did this like initially started with you? What was like the spark?
I think I just didn't want to live in my life for whatever reason. There was no great trauma. There was no I just growing up gay in a Christian home, that was a little problematic, or I decided it was problematic. And I just kind of rejected my own self for many, many years. So that was part of my story, and that what I read about in my book. But then I realized training actors for over 21 years, we all split ourselves. We all had to do that on some level. It's not unique to sexuality or anything. We're all really the same. It's the same shit, Right. There's only like 7 different patterns of the brain, and once you get all the patterns of the brain, you can teach anybody. It really is the same. The mind is the same. We all in over 2,000-year-old brain that does the same shit. It keeps you out of trouble and wants to keep you safe, and it keeps you in the old story. I mean, that's basically it.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. I just think I had a tremendous need to escape and feel special, and I just didn't, and I just had a hunger for like attention and love, and I think it was pretty unhealthy in the beginning. It was the way I got love, was I was funny, and I had to be like, that's who I had to be in my house. Like, you had to be special. My dad was a musician and a composer, and he kind of only paid attention to you if you were doing something interesting. If you weren't doing something interesting, you didn't get any attention, Right. So I on some level, I learned to stay creative and be busy, and it gave me so many great life skills. And then it also fucked me up. Like, I was like, oh, I'm only loved if I'm only, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know this other side of myself. I didn't know how to have problems. I didn't know how to like be in disappointment. I didn't know how to accept myself. I didn't have any life skills other than I can like be motivated, have confidence, and like turn it on. I was like a little kid on the MGM lot. Like, that's how I felt growing up. Like, I didn't have life skills. Meisner gave me life skills. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have any, so for me, I don't know. I mean, that's a great question. I just think I knew how to work for love, and I didn't know the difference. And I just wanted to succeed so bad to just get out of Peekskill, New York. And I don't know, just I wanted to be famous. Like, and that's not what's running my show now, but like, I thought that would make me feel loved and special and attention. I mean, it really was that. Like, right. That was such a need in me that it like drove me. And that's unhealthy, No,
it's we all
until you hit it in adults. And then that doesn't work anymore. Then you're like, wait a minute, this old childhood thing that saved me is actually fucking me up. Right. And this is going into act 2, right? The end of act 1, you're like, shit, is he going to change? And that's what I try to help people with, is getting them from their act 1 into their act 2.
This is so great, because I always tell people your life reflects a theater play. So your act is
Yes.
like a fair play in 3 different stages. You need to make an introduction. Sometimes that introduction can be foolish. It can be crazy. It can be without a sense, but you feel the urge of doing something else with your life. Then you're going to the apex where all the, belief systems that you had previously will crash with the ones that will come new into
it crashes. It's the hero's journey. I mean, it really is the hero's journey.
Campbell.
Like, you think you can't do it. Joseph Campbell. It's exactly that. And, and some people are in a long running bad show of their life. You know what I mean? Like, and on some level before COVID, I think I was too. Like, I was just in this reoccurring had some success. I was doing well, but like, I was in this old show that kept running and running and running and running. And I needed to be in a new play.
And
I needed to play in a new play.
Yes. And maybe this was also, I don't know, like subconsciously or consciously, the need for you to get into coaching, because acting is all about the self-empowerment, the self-quest, the self-love. And then at a certain point, for me, it was the experience of saying, it's not enough anymore. I need to share this. I have so much critical mass, so much energy. I don't want to keep this shit for myself. I don't want to ruin myself and just reflecting the whole time with my mirror and what the beautiful roads. Yes, of course, I can explore so much. But if I share parts of this, we can be so much more.
I mean, that's the only way you grow, is you have to give it away, right? Like, what's the first thing you do when you like get in? You're like, I got to tell people, I got to put it on Facebook. I got to you want to share it so your life can grow. I mean, that's the only way you grow, is you have to give it away. There's only so much you can do by yourself. Right. And then, I mean, there's nothing like impacting a human being and turning on some lights that were turned off. I mean, that's like the most amazing high on the planet for me.
I totally agree.
I love that. Like that. I was a born for sure. A coach and a director for sure. I mean, I was like shadowed and untapped and lost, and I didn't know it. Do you know what I mean? But like, once that started connecting in me, it made perfect sense of everything that ever happened in my life. Has brought me to what I do now for a living. It's amazing. Like, all the shit I hated about myself actually is so great for me as a coach.
Oh yes, like definitely.
Being a sensitive kid and being stuck with my mom all the time when I was the youngest, and I like felt all her feelings and I hated it, and I felt she was like depressed, but then I understand women in a cool way. I don't know, like all that stuff like serves me now, but like I hated it growing up, but like now I really like my weird past. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I don't want to close the door. I know. But for so many years, I like hated that, or I hated my Christianity upbringing and being like, I hated it. And now I like kind of like that. I had that conflict, and like, I don't know. I just have a different lens, and I have a different meaning about it now. And it's emotionally changed for me, which is cool.
Very, very cool. Did Meisner, with his technique, help you to kind of, do the next evolutionary step for yourself? And how, if it's not because once I talked with
I mean,
we had a show with him. He's
I saw some of it. I saw some of it.
Out of Brooklyn, and he's coaching. He's the acting coach of Sam Rockwell. He told me something very intrinsic. Like every creative mind taps into a certain instrument, whether that's a technique, a method, an instrument, whatever, taps exactly into the instrument he actually needs for himself to progress, to kind of, embrace this challenge. And so Meisner helped him to develop himself as well. Yeah.
I mean, it's everything I do is based on getting my attention off myself, taking what I'm getting and being true, right? So those are really the concepts that I work from. And you're just doing conditioning. You're just doing body conditioning to trick the brain from not taking care of yourself and being in the past to just really being in the unknown and being in the conflict and responding from instincts and impulses, basically.
Right.
So, man, I had to develop, and then to create a business and do this, and to have students that I had I don't just do a first year Meisner and a second year Meisner. I'm like, I have people for 7 years, or they're on Broadway, they do films, and I've known them for 15 years. It's like, you had to develop this in the repetition itself. It becomes its own language.
It does.
That it totally shifted my life and what I want and what I have to say in the world. And I've developed it past black shirt. I mean, it may start there, but then it becomes about how you see the world and who you're being in it, and what you want to create and how to get out of your own way. So for me, in order to, everything I did in building my studio is everything I teach my students from. For me, that's my Broadway show. That's my blockbuster film, is MCS itself. What I had to go through to just build it is all the brain shit that I had to get out of the way, which I had to be present. And then there's different, I guess, levels and patterns that I had to untangle through the years to just grow.
Absolutely.
You know, I had to create a team. I had to trust people. I had to, that was really hard for me. I had old beliefs that I have to just do it myself, but then I would stop my success because I'm going to be burnt out and pissed off and angry, and I'm going to be doing it all by myself. So why would I want to be more successful? Right. Because that's how I thought success would be. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So I had to like relearn what even success means. You know what I mean? So I do that with my students too, what they think success means. And it's just redefining things. And I mean, so the Meisner work has sneakily shown up in so many aspects of my life beyond just the three things I just said, taking what you're getting and working off your partner. Like it's informed so many things because I've had to grow, right? We have to grow or we die. I mean, that's really it. I don't know. You were allowed to be an artist in my family. You were allowed to be an actor. And I always felt like, oh, then I can curse and I can do things that my Christian upbringing, like you were allowed to be an actor. I might not have been allowed to be gay, or that wasn't really talked about, but I was certainly allowed to go into the arts. So that to me, that was like what sports is to a lot of people. Like that's where I got to like really be myself, was I get to like play in these worlds. And for me, that was like breaking the rules. Like I remember being a kid and people were like, what are you going to be when you grow up? I'm like, I'm going to be an actor. And I would be like, whoa. And I kind of liked that people were like, thought that was weird or crazy or like what, impressed. Do you know what I mean? Like people were impressed by that, whether I was going to do it or not. Doesn't, you know what I mean? But like even, you know, people in my church or whatever, they were like, oh, this kid's going to be an actor. Like, I just thought that was so cool. Like, absolutely. Like everybody wanted to be one anyway. Like I just felt like I was emitting what everybody wants, which is everybody wants to like make an impact on this world. And for me, being an actor was like making an impact. Like you can affect people in the moment right now. Like that was the coolest thing on the planet. For me, that was my sports growing up. You know what I mean? That was like being an athlete. And I really teach from that mindset of sports and acting is really the same. It's the same.
There's a lot of
completely the same.
Yeah. There are a lot of commonalities.
It's completely. It's all mindset stuff, and
it's repetition. It's muscle memory. It's mindset,
and it's repetition and muscle memory. It's all that, all of it.
And fighting your inner demons and your stress hormones and neurochemistry and rewiring yourself whenever it's needed to get ready for that final moment where everything counts. Yeah. Whether it's in the room or you're competing for an Olympic medal with a 100-meter run, it's pretty much the same because you're there.
It's the same. It's resistance and fear and how to like use that.
And plus, you have athleticism as a culture, but then everybody in itself in that community has to make, you know, room for what success means for everyone else and for yourself in private. Like, what is my success? Do I need to win the gold medal? Is it okay if I compete for the first 10 places? Do I need to be in some sort of a community? Can I do this for myself? Like, what can I learn from my teachers, and how can I then put something on my own into that culture that enriches the culture, not just participating, not just functioning as part of that gear, but being one of the gears that moves something forward. And I think every time, like, I hear you saying, like, give something up, give that ship up and lean into it, embrace it. I feel like we're speaking out of the same core here, because acting and art needs that. It needs me as an executive, but then not me when it's time to collaborate, because there's so much in me that is actually, you can really start to kind of understand where we come from until the end of our lives. Like we still haven't figured out what our existence is, but what we can do is participate and do something great. And then this can be analyzed because that's tangible. That's my contribution. That's something that I placed into, and that makes me eternal. Art makes you eternal. Whether you're competing for the highest ranks or you're just part of it, it makes you eternal anyway, because you left something, you gave something up, and then you just left it there for other people to judge and be entertained and be inspired by it. Athleticism and acting, it's like,
yeah, absolutely. The more that you don't know you and you you're in the unknown, that's where the greatest shit happens.
Absolutely.
The unknown has never let me down. My story about it has always fucked me up. The unknown really has never let me down. If I really give over and let go of control and really be in what's really happening, it never lets me down. I mean, that's incredible. My mind will always da about it because it wants to take care of me. It's what the mind does. And you needed it. It's not a bad thing. You know, we got a payoff for being in that story. There's a payoff and then there's a cost, right? So I try to get my actors to see, now this shit is costing you more than you're getting. You feel the pain of it, and pain is a great teacher, and it's pain will make you change your life. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So you associate enough pain to an old thing. I try to get people to really see themselves like, I'm like, wow, this is what this does to you. Whoa. And they're like, shit, I don't want to do that anymore. Like you start to see yourself reflected back from your coach or the other actor, even in just the repetition. You're like, this is what I do. This is incredible. I want something better for me. Because you got to see the impact and the cost right in the moment, because it's acting, you know, this character is met with this right now. You know what I mean? So it's amazing stuff. I mean, it's incredible. I hope that's still going on the topic of what you were saying, but
no,
and you know, and or like you know, or like Tony Robbins always says, you know, there's a success, there's a map to success. Anybody can be successful. Fulfillment is an art. And you got to really find what fulfills you is different than having a lot of fucking money in the bank and wanting to kill yourself. You know what I mean? Like, we all know miserable, wealthy people, right? So there's success and then there's fulfillment. And I think, or they say the science of success, it's a science. And then the art of fulfillment. And that you got to really find what turns you on. And that goes against your programming of this is what you were supposed to do, or this is what it is to be a successful actor. A person needs to look like this. I mean, we have such programming.
It's incredible.
You know, but to really find what fulfills you, and you know, that's interesting.
It is
to me.
And isn't that also being honest with yourself? Like yourself, you're saying, I was brought up in a very Christian way. I had to go to church at mass, and there was like this other me coming up, and I felt like I have certain inclinations that maybe are not accepted by my cultural background right now. And I will have to do that progress as well, and coming out and tell people and be honest. But first of all, you have to be honest with yourself. What is it that you are looking for? What is it that really fulfills you? What makes you happy, right? And how difficult was that for you? Because I think that's very important, like on a personal level as human beings, but also on a professional level, because sometimes we want to be stars. We want to be on, you know, Broadway shows. We want to be on the billboard. But then are we really willing to pay the price for that? Are we really able to sacrifice? Are we willing to do that? Or is maybe a bit less exactly as fulfilling, but without us giving up what we need to, you know, function in that system?
You know, it's the difference between fitting in and belonging. You know, like we need to belong to something, to feel like we can be ourselves somewhere. Like, I feel like fitting in is like just getting along and denying parts of yourself to be accepted, right? Like, I spent years trying to fit in, or whatever that means. But then, like, to really belong, man, it's not in spite of your flaws, it's because of your flaws you belong. Like, it's because you're fucked up and you did that's
what makes us perfect. The imperfection that makes us
totally. It's being in process and letting people see that, and letting go of looking good. You end up looking good. you know what I mean? Like, I know when I open a masterclass with people I don't know, I'll talk about shame right away, and I know looking bad makes me look good. Like, I just know. I just know that if I'm the first one in the room to say something embarrassing or something shameful about myself, then everyone in that room will give over to me.
There was this Russian,
and I do it every time. I'll talk about shameful right away, because they don't know me necessarily. Maybe now they'll read my book or something, but like, they don't fucking know me. They're like, who's this guy teaching Meisner? What the hell does that mean? You know, like, I just try to be the first one in the room to do
right,
that.
to clean this up, right? Here's the horror
To clean
that
it
you
up.
have to face. That's the accusation audit. It's gonna be horrifying. It's gonna be painful. It's gonna be, you know, scary at times.
Yeah, or I'm exactly like you, and then this is what I've done with my life, and you can fucking do your thing too.
You know, it's funny because
you know, it doesn't need to stop you.
Right, because if you have two brothers, and they all suffered childhood traumas. And one brother is going to be extremely successful, and he's going to tell you, my fucked up youth was responsible for me being successful. And the other one turns out to be a drug addict. And he tells, my fucked up youth is responsible for me being a drug addict. So it's how you process it. It's how you embrace the horror.
I mean, what happens to a kid growing up in the projects, being beat up and raised in drugs, and becomes Oprah Winfrey? And then somebody that grew up in Connecticut in this waspy fucking family had it all and died, OD'd over drugs. It's exactly that. It's exactly that. It's what you do. It's what you make of it, right? For me, COVID was the best thing that ever happened to me because it totally shifted and changed my life. To someone else, that's the worst thing that ever happened to them.
Crazy.
Was the world being shut down. I mean, it was hard for me to end it up. My perspective of it looking back is the best thing that ever happened to me. While I'm going through it, it's not necessarily the best thing that ever happened to me.
No, but
that is the meaning that I give it now, because it's really the truth of how I pivoted and changed my life. I wouldn't be sitting in Miami right now if that didn't happen. Talking to you probably if that didn't happen.
Yeah, probably.
Being on Zoom. I never heard of Zoom.
Mm-hmm. We started Talks on Acting during COVID. We started this show during COVID.
I bet.
Because we thought,
I'm coaching
now everybody is at home.
Now.
Now everybody's at home. Let's talk. At home, right? Before we bore the fuck out, right? Let's do something creative, right? And we started thinking and adapting this new, situation into a gear that works for us and not against us. And that's what, again, I love you about your personality, is like you are really empowering people. There's this critical voice, but there's also this motivating engine that gives people some tangible tools that are easy to adapt, easy to implement, not simple, but easy in a way to understand. And then once everything collapses that is artificial, what stays is the truth. And that it's the most beautiful product you can work with.
It's the best.
What happened to you at 7th grade?
Yeah, I know. That's so funny, right? Like, I think I think it was a series of things that culminate into 7th grade. For me, it was certainly knowing I was younger, being different, being attracted to boys, and I shouldn't be, and I knew I rejected myself. Mm-hmm. So I knew I was walking around with a story and the brain needs to be right? So I knew that if I'm going to really be myself, I'm going to be rejected. This is what I decided.
Good.
Whether it's true or not, I don't know, because I didn't let myself be myself. So I don't really know if that would have happened. But that was my story.
Powerful.
Right. So I remember being very, very popular in junior high until 7th grade. This is true. And I remember being at a party, and I think it was maybe the first time we were drinking. What are we, 13? Mm-hmm. And I remember like being like a little crazy and like maybe a little flamboyant and funny and like really free. Mm-hmm. And probably in an improv class, I would have gotten an A. Like it was probably brilliant work, Mm-hmm. And I was really myself and really in the moment. And I remember the girls loved me, and I remember the guys started looking at me differently. And I remember the next day in school, or that Monday in school, that popular group of people, they stopped talking to me.
Interesting.
And I all of a sudden I was just like not right, or not part of them, or I don't even know.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
And that like I did a play. I started meeting theater people. Like I was like abandoned and rejected from my peer group, which was very popular. And in America, popularity is like everything. You know what I mean? I know my partner watches these shows on American high school, and he's like, I can't believe how cruel everybody is here about. You know what I mean? It's just so funny to him.
Yeah.
But to us, yes, being liked and fitting in and being popular. I mean, thank God we didn't have social media when I was growing up. But like, yeah. I mean, that was devastating. That was traumatic to me as a kid. But then I realized everybody has something happen to them in junior high. Like everybody, there's some peer thing that happens where you want to fit in or be liked, or you have to kill off a piece of yourself to be okay, or your parents
Right.
divorce, or somebody dies, or so you get lied to, or you have to keep a secret, or there's always something. It's like Biff in Death of a Salesman. You know, Biff walks in on
Right.
his dad having an affair, and then what a classic
It is.
representation of our life. And Raisin in the Sun is the same story. You know, it really is like the person you think is the most important hero is no longer a hero. They're a human, and then therefore everything you based your life on is just a lie. So why even bother pushing yourself and believing anything they ever taught you? So you're just going to ruin everything. I mean, it's brilliant. It's brilliant shit, you know.
It is, and
because we do it as people. So I think that's what happened to me, and then I made that story come true, that if I'm myself, I'm going to be rejected. So what do? I go into acting, where you're always auditioning and trying to be yourself, and you're always being rejected. So I had to make that be true. I had to make that be true. I had to prove that I was right. I was right. See, I'm right. I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which is insanity.
Wow.
Until you get the story. Yeah. And I think Meisner accidentally unraveled me. I don't think my teacher said, you're living in this story. Now I'll do that to people. I'll say, yeah, you're in this story that's running your show, and it's not fucking working for you. And how long you've been doing that? Like, I'll be like, when did that get started? How old were you? Like, I'll do that. My teacher didn't quite do that. He gave me tools and stuff that developed into that made perfect sense, that Meisner is great for self-development. I mean, it was like a no-brainer. You know what I mean? Like I read books and do stuff, especially during COVID, on self-development. Everyone's like, the things you think become your thoughts, become feelings, I'm like, this is emotional prep for actors. Are you fucking kidding me? These people are making money doing seminars on this.
Yes.
Your brain doesn't know.
Right.
Your brain doesn't know the difference between what you imagine and what's actually happening. I mean, that's manifestation. It's called emotional prep. Like,
right.
Duh. Like,
it's how we wiring
you know
ourselves.
Like, the Greeks have been doing it forever. But like, it's the secret is, you know what I mean? It's like, that's crazy to me that no acting teacher has like stood up and been like, this is exactly what acting is. All of us are walking around in method acting, living in a story that's actually not true.
Right.
Doing as if it's true.
Right, because that will kind of glue you
into crazy.
Right, it is. To me, it is, because
and I haven't heard anybody tying them together coming from the acting field. Mm-hmm. I haven't heard it. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but like I'm gonna like tie these two worlds together because they're perfect. Self-development and acting technique. It's actually the same thing on some level.
Yes, because in your book,
I don't know.
In your book, if you survived 7th grade, you can be an actor. That means if you survived your personal tipping point, your personal cataclysm, if you survived that transformation from being a kid and everything catered to you, to starting to kind of pull people into your story and accepting that some people, they don't want to participate in your story, so you have to, search out for the community that really wants you. And how can you do that? Just by being yourself, of course, by being truthful to who you are. If you do that in acting, you will have the same type of result. So the title of your book makes totally sense. And kind of clinging into that, what you're saying, just recently I had this, let's say, a management group where we talked about like, and they're receiving bad reviews from their bosses and from their customers. And then I went into them and it's like, what seems to be the problem? Yeah, we're in a bad mood. Why? Yeah, because there's a crisis and because there are problems and there's all that. And why don't you feel privileged to resolve all those things? And again, you can be wired. You can wire yourself by embracing this process, by feeling great and repeating to yourself, this is great. I got the privilege to solve shit. Instead of thinking, oh my God, another day of work. You get a lot of money to solve shit and make people's lives better. So this should be a reason to be proud of yourself, that people put that responsibility into your basket. And all of a sudden, when your mindset changes, the perspective changes, your neurochemistry is not feared, it's not scared, it's not programmed on adrenaline anymore. Now all of a sudden it's dopamine. Now you're smiling. Now you're embracing.
There you go. And you just said it. And it's now learning how to self-regulate and generate dopamine.
Exactly.
Everything you're saying, you and I are like, which is awesome. Which is you're very much in the same world that I am in right now. And I don't think before COVID, I was in that world as much. And I'll tell you, one of the hardest things is people letting themselves experience joy. That's like the most vulnerable thing. People, like, even in repetition, they'll do it and then they'll be like, yeah, I'm really happy. And then they like stop it. Like, they will not let themselves, because you don't know when the other shoe will drop. I mean, we say things like that in America, right? Something bad, you don't know when something bad will happen. So let me just prepare for it now. And you stop when, hey, listen, bad things will happen. I promise. I'm not living in a fantasy, world of like positive thinking. Listen, bad shit's going to happen, but you're going to deal with it when it happens is actually better for you than making it happen before it happens.
Right.
Because where you'll end up when it actually happens is so much different than what your brain says and how you need to control pain.
This is
do you know what I'm saying?
So yeah, absolutely. This is like coming back to Joseph Campbell. This is Greek mythology. At least the hero sets out to make things happen, whether that's something dramatic or something beautiful, but it's him taking control over his life, being accountable for his actions, and then looking out for the result and not waiting for something to happen. And that eventually can turn out to be bad as well, and then just suffer the consequences without exactly knowing what the instruments are, what the antidote is, because you didn't start that shit. So, you know, it's better to start it. It's better to at least.
So now, you know, absolutely. And for me, it's being conscious of future me, and that's who I'm chasing.
Nice.
Because otherwise you're chasing something, you're probably chasing your old past. You know what I mean? So now I'm like, I've just reprogrammed my mind that at the end of my life, if I meet who I was supposed to be with who I am now, we're not so, we're twins. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, okay, cool. As opposed to like, man, I met the version I was supposed to be, and I don't even know who that person is because I never became them. And I don't want that happening to me. But I'll tell you, it's a daily, and now it's automatic, but like just training my mindset to get conscious of I'm living in future me and chasing that guy, and how would he show up right now? Who would he be right now?
Right.
And just, listen, I get triggered. I'll react. I'm a fucking Meisner coach. Of course, I'm trained to react, right? You know, and just it's in my real life. Just how long do I stay in it is just
right.
less
I mean,
less and less. I don't want to be in that breakdown. You know?
Absolutely no. There are some discrepancies that we all, share and face, and that we all have to kind of process for ourselves because we're human beings. Of course, there's so much wisdom that we can pass on, but when shit happens to us, sometimes it's a masquerade. Sometimes it's masked. Sometimes we don't even know what's behind it, and we react. We react because we are wired to do so. Right? We are indoctrinated to do so, because if we're staying in that reaction mindset, we are not looking for the long-term solution. We are always in that hustle mode. And that makes it easier also for the system to control us. They don't want long-term view. They don't want that, right? That long-time wiring where people can actually perceive what the reaction will be and act out on that, because that makes us some chess players in the game. They don't want a lot of chess players. They want some, they want the peasants to be sacrificed on the altar.
But that's what's great about acting is in acting, you can just react. We just want your impulse. We just want your instinct. Just go.
When did you
life? I've learned how to respond. I have to like respond and not react.
Right.
So, sometimes I have to get somebody else's world, or how does the world occur for them? And
just really quick on your book, when did it start to kind of, bloom up for you? The idea of writing this book?
Maybe like 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Maybe even more. And then I was like, I got to do it. I'm glad I didn't do it then, because I didn't have the mindset training that I have now. And I probably would have been a little not as evolved, not as I don't know. Like, I definitely have a different perspective of my childhood in my life that I'm able to see. Like, that's how I saw it. I don't even know if it was really like that. I'm like, that's actually a new thing I've been saying. Like, I'm like, maybe that didn't even happen. That's just how I saw it. Like, I made up in my mind somewhere that I was different and I was just going to be rejected. I don't know if it actually really happened. It's just how I saw it, right? What does Wayne Dyer say? Like, when you change how you look at things, the things you look at start to change. You know what I mean? And I feel like I'm living that now, and I'm glad. Just during COVID, it was like, you know what, this is a great time. My best friend Larry, who's a producer on Broadway and stuff, and we grew up together. He has a health fitness business too, and he just like wrote this book on health and fitness just to give him a platform to speak. And I'm like, if he did it, I'm gonna go write a damn book on acting. Like, my best friend did it. Like he just published it himself. And I'm like, I'm going to do the same. So I think I needed somebody in my inner circle to prove to me and show me that it can be done. And I'm like, if he did it, then I can. This is exactly what happened. And it took me 1 year. I said, I'm going to do this year. I did it started in January 2021 and I finished it December 2021.
Beautiful, man. Congrats. You
Thanks. I appreciate it.
You checked one of the major boxes, right? Just write a book, plant a tree.
Yeah, write a book. Yeah. And what you go through writing a book, all your stories come up, and yeah, I had to get off of a lot of stories.
Well, what was your main scope? Like when you wrote, what was your main thought? Like, of course, getting rid of that stuff, but how did you want it to serve people, the actors and the community?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to impact them with the stuff that changed my life, and that to use your past and not get stuck in it, to create a new future that actually compels you forward rather than keep living the past thing over and over and over again. How to use your shame and splitting yourself, and how to like integrate yourself into your acting in your life. I think it was mainly that, to give people hope, or like,
right.
Now that sounds so corny. I don't want to sound corny.
No,
but like,
why not sound corny? Because
you know what I mean?
True.
But
yeah,
like,
give people some hope and some meaning.
And that's a story too, right? Like I want to like frame it in a way that's actually sounds cool. You know what I mean? But like, like that you have more fucking meaning to give to this world, and I want to impact more people, and I want to impact more people to impact more people.
Right. I mean, there are people who are producing lipstick, and there are people who are writing books. And obviously, if you're writing a book, you want to help people, right? And people who are producing lipstick, they want to help people too. It's just, that
absolutely
right. It's
yeah. That makes them feel better, and that makes them look good, and whatever. Yeah, I want to do the same thing.
And how common?
I mean, we're all chasing.
Yes. No, please.
Everything we want in the future is because it's going to give us a feeling, right? We're really chasing a feeling, right? We're feeling good or feeling safe. And if you can find that in you now without, right? We all live in cause and effect, right? Like if this happens to me, then I'll feel good. If I get that TV show, then I'll feel good. If I have this amazing life in a boat, I'm going to be, but if you can generate that in you now before you have the thing, your need for the thing becomes less, and you don't even need to chase it because you already have it. It just comes to you.
You pull it in.
You attract
right.
You attract what you got. If you're coming from a place of lack, you're going to get more lack. Lack attracts lack. It just does. If I already feel good, I'm going to attract things that make me feel good. But now I got to like really let myself love the things I love, because then my brain's going to want more of it. But we actually don't even let ourselves like stuff. We're like cynical, and we're like, oh yeah. But
because
we don't like let ourselves like love what we love.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So I think I got like, man, I really fucking love people, and I love coaching. It's frustrating. It's hard. Doing something new in Miami is not a walk in the park.
No.
You know what I mean? But I'm up for it, and I'm doing it. It's been challenging. I go back to New York. I'm like, my classes in New York to me are so easy. They're really not easy, but I've been doing it so long, and they're my New York actors. My Miami world, it's a different world. They also don't have me. They don't know me. They don't know this work. You know what I mean?
Right. And let's talk a little bit about Miami, because it's getting bigger and bigger. It's an interesting opportunity. Miami is getting the hub of art. There are philosophers moving to Miami. Fashion is moving to Miami. New currents are moving to Miami because of the Florida situation. A lot of people moving out of California. A lot of people moving out of New York, like settling over.
Oh yeah.
Tell us about the acting community, how it's growing in Miami.
Yeah, I have a partner here who's a former student of mine named April, and she's amazing. She works for Design Miami and Art Basel, and she's the one who really encouraged me and my partner. We wanted out of just the New York day-to-day living and the struggle of that. We just needed a new mindset. I'm sure, yes, you can relate the way you
Absolutely.
just went like that. You get it. And we wanted to bring something here that isn't here. Like there's no Meisner work here. There's no classic training in Miami. There's like TV film classes. There's acting coaches, and I don't know. I don't know really fully what's here, and I don't want to put anyone down, but there's definitely not classic training unless you go to New World or you're in one of those programs there, or in a college maybe here. So she really encouraged me. And she's also said, Matt, there's no cynicism in Miami.
That's
People
true.
aren't cynical about stuff.
That's
And I
true.
really found that to be true. And I really found people to be very open.
Yes.
Now, whether they can commit or not,
That's
that's a
something
different
completely
story.
different. It's a different story. Yes.
Right. So there's definitely not cynicism here. And
Yes.
I've been pretty sold out since September. My getting the same people to continue and commit to themselves, that's difficult. Right now I just do a once a week class. Doing Meisner once a week, when you're new to it, I think it should be twice a week. It's really designed for that. You really need that twice a week
to get
brain
into
train.
right.
Absolutely. So there's 6 days in between. It kind of undermines itself. Sometimes it's a harder progression, but I'm committed to it. I'm doing it. I'm finding my people. Some people that I thought would be my people are not my people. You know, you got to find the right people. You got to find your tribe, like anything, right? I'm like, this is the person in Miami who's an actor. How are they not liking my class? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, because it's just not for them. You're not for them. It's not what they want to do. They just want to be on TV and be famous or whatever. And that's totally cool. I get that.
Right.
But my class is a process, you know, like you gotta.
Yeah, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. That. Right.
Yeah. And you gotta love the unraveling.
That's the part. That's the
being
beauty.
At the gym.
Yes, that's the beauty.
I think so.
That's
and I try to make that part fun and cool and beautiful, but people just want results. I mean, there's no quick fix.
No,
as you know. Do you know what I mean? There's no pill, and if you do, that's going to catch up to you. It doesn't work.
Matthew, right now,
I've done quick fixes. They don't work.
Right.
You know?
Matthew, right now, you're a landscape gardener. Right. There is this huge garden. It's a mess. It's kind of wild. There is fertile soil, but it's kind of overgrown. There's a lot of weeds. So you have to unweed, you have to clean up and then, give people some structure. So of course that takes time. That's a lot of, it's a very demanding work. But again, it kind of corresponds to your personality. Everything that we're just talking about today is like pushing through, changing, transforming, adapting, and accepting the challenge. And I guess you love challenges. I think you love it the hard way, not the easy way. And that makes you successful because you're reaching out for exactly what you need. And you are honest about that. And so many people, like you're saying, they're envisioning themselves having success, but they're not ready to do the work. And I think Miami, totally. I mean, there is no cynicism. There's not a lot of sarcasm. People are very unfiltered, very happy, very natural, and to acting in a way. You need that though a little bit. You need cynicism a little bit. You need sarcasm and irony. You need that kind of subtle humor that's not always kind of direct and understandable. And you need to teach that because people, they are not having this environment. New York has a lot of cynical environment. LA has a lot of cynical environment and a lot of sarcasm, a lot of double speak and all that. And that's, but I think that's the beauty. It's still like an untapped field. It's like an immaculate field where teaching something that belongs to another world, to another culture, where still people can preserve themselves, but still explore something that might be useful to have success in their lives.
All of that, even what you said about the garden and everything is perfectly. I mean, we grow from problems, right? So you do need problems because they help you grow. And then if you grow, you have things to give. If you don't grow, you have nothing to give. I teach from my struggle of building this is what I teach from. You just want better problems. So now I have better problems than I did in 2020, which is awesome. Because you're always going to have you don't want not problems.
No,
most of us are mad at our problems because we feel like we shouldn't have problems. Well, your problem is you think you shouldn't have problems. Your problem is not having problems. Your problem is your opinion and your perception of it.
If you don't have
once
problems,
you get that you're supposed to, you're not living.
Yes, you got a problem.
And if you think you shouldn't have them, that's even a double problem.
That's a double problem.
You're not even accepting that you have them.
Yeah, you're not acknowledging reality. You're not acknowledging reality.
You're not acknowledging what you're not accepting what is. So you got to start there. Like you said, you got to start with the truth. You got to start with the truth.
You got to undig the surprises first. Like Michael Caine in his book said, you're not there to be prepared that maybe some surprises might occur when you're in the room. No, you have to search out for those.
You want them.
Right away. You want them.
I always say if you can have two instincts in an audition, that's amazing. Two moments that you don't have to craft and they actually just happen in the doing spontaneously. That's great.
Because if you surprise yourself, then you surprise others. And if you surprise others, that's a genuine moment where you can actually connect with your audience.
And we really see that person. And then therefore we really see ourselves, because we want that. Everybody wants that. Everyone wants to be alive and in the unknown. We go to the movies and music and film to see courageous people do that in front of us. But everybody wants it. I don't know if everyone's called to do it.
Right.
But everybody wants to be more passionate, connected, fulfilled. I mean, that's a human need. That's human. To grow and to give is spiritual needs in human beings. It just is. You know, so actors have to be willing to be the ones that unravel and be vulnerable first and tell the truth. It's not under imaginary circumstances, which is even more ironic. You coach too. I teach people to be more truthful because life taught us how not to be truthful. I mean, isn't that crazy that I have a career that I teach people how to be human because life taught them how not to be human?
I love it.
Isn't that nuts? Isn't that brilliant in itself? What a paradox.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
It's brilliant. I mean, it couldn't be more brilliant.
Like the feedback that we're receiving here at the studio, like for the last 10 years, it's been like nothing makes you more happy when a student of yours, a client of yours calls you the day after, said, I booked the role. We got it. We did it. We did it together. We showed something truthful, unique, genuine. It impacted. I had the chance to escape from my constructed self and be myself. And that kind of turned out to be the winning point. Right.
Yeah.
And that shows them so much about their personality. They grow as human beings, that are so grateful to the coach and to the, you know, accumulated work that you both process together, that they will cherish this forever. Because what I'm saying always in my classes, I'm probably one of the few coaches that wants to get rid of his clients as fast as possible. I just want to give you the tools. I don't want to have this parasite type of relationship where you always have to call me like in 4 a.m, like, what am I gonna do? Right? No, I want you to be self-sustained. I want to get rid of you. I want to, you know, I want to let you fly. No, surely that's what I always say.
That's funny though. To hear it that way is funny. Yeah,
say that, and people are looking at me is like, yeah, you don't like me? Yes, I like. But
that's the point of a coach, though. That's the point of a coach.
But a lot of coaches,
so you can do it without me. You know,
you know that better than me. A lot of coaches, whether that's in New York or in LA, they want to create that parasitical type of relationship, right? That vampire type of communities. Like, yeah, you have to stick with me and you have to stay with me. It's like, no, it's the energy. Maybe
there's seasons, you know. Yeah,
maybe you can make a couple of bucks more, but in the end, it's the energy that counts and what propels you forward, and that is like to be as authentic as possible. Then again, if you want to work, let's work.
Yeah.
If you truly want to explore, of course, I'm up to it. No.
Yeah.
But I'm here to empower people, right, and not to, you know, kind of leech from them.
Make them codependent. Yeah. That's Matthew, not good for you. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're not about that. You're awesome. It's really good.
Oh, you're awesome. It's beautiful to share all this knowledge with the creative community out there. I think we just made a little tiny 0.1 contribution that, you know, the craft, the art can grow, and not a little step towards success, towards fulfillment, towards unique and you know, genuine moments. And I thank you so much for lending out this beautiful time and sharing all these stories with us. I'm sure people will love it on this side of the continent, on this side of the ocean. Thank you so much, Matthew, for your time. Thank you so much.
Creative I'm community. so grateful to you, generating this, making this happen, getting me here, and just being so open and you. I just love it. I really love it.
Thank you so much. Creative community, thank you so much for sticking with us till the end. It was a great pleasure sharing this video with you. Heads up to Matthew Corozine, and please check out his content. We will include all of his links. Buy his book. You know, if you survive the 7th grade, you can be an actor, you can be a performer, you can be out there telling your story, not the artificial you, but you, because he will teach you the technique you need to be, you know, to be truthful and to embrace all the problems and see them as privilege, because we are here for a limited time span and we need to make the fucking best out of our time, out of our energy, out of our passion. And the sooner we start with this, the better it is, the better we feel, the better the community will feel. So hit the subscribe button on his side, on my side as well. Leave a like if you thought that this content had any value to you. Shoot it out there to your creative community and write me a nice email. It's thecoachmc.studio, or write Matthew a nice email if you're happen to be in Miami or in New York City, and get one of his classes into your system. They will be amazing. There's so much to talk about. Maybe we do this in the next episode. Thank you so much so far. Thank you so much, creative community. Now you're ready to perform.